to you from the Spit Studios in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. This is the Spit Sports Show. We are shaping up for what could possibly be a historic Stanley Cup final. Holy moly, guys. Now, this is very, very exciting as a hockey fan watching how this series has played out so far. Because to be honest with you, the first three games I didn't think were particularly close. Florida has a top three defense. They have all year. And when you have a top three defense and your core is built to keep pucks out of your own net, plus you have one of the hottest goalies in the playoffs, you're probably going to combine to stop some of the best offenses in the league. And that's exactly what they did to the Oilers in the first three games. I thought the stars for the Oilers looked flummoxed when the shift from Dallas's defense to Florida's hit. I thought everything was looking in Florida's favor. And obviously the score of the series reflected that, being up 3-0. It felt like Florida had control of most, if not every element of the series. And when it got to game 4, I thought the Panthers were going to close it out, to be totally honest with you. They've been in the finals before. They know darn well how easy it is for a team to come back from down 3-0. But game 4, instead of being the Florida statement game where they end the series and, crown themselves as one of the best teams over the last few years, and obviously the best team this year, they came out and had what I call the human nature game. It's exactly what the Celtics did to the Mavericks in game 4. The Mavericks, if you don't watch basketball, came out and blew out the Celtics by like 40 points. It was over by halfway through the second quarter. The Oilers pretty much did that exact same thing right back to the Florida Panthers. 8-1 in the Stanley Cup Finals. It's never happened before. And I thought the Panthers were going to come off their gas pedal a little bit. That was concerning, what I saw in game 4. It didn't look like they took their foot off the gas pedal. It looked like they stopped driving the car. It was complete Oilers domination. McDavid took their soul early. Draisaitl looked like he was finally playing hockey again instead of skating in sand. But all of that really didn't feel like it mattered all that much because everybody knew the series was going back to Florida for the game 5. And the Edmonton Oilers had gotten worked on Florida's home ice. So when they went to Florida, I think most people thought Florida was going to wrap the series up. And in game 5, Florida was better. That's what is going to get lost in history here. Expected goals for, high danger chances, general scoring chances. Florida beat the Oilers in nearly every stat. And to my eye, besides a couple of spurts here or there, I thought Florida in the deserve to win-o-meter, which I think is the stupidest thing ever, but if I were to do my own personal deserve to win-o-meter, I would give Florida like 57%. That's just what my eye test said. But the Oilers came out, to be fair to them, they came out absolutely buzzing in that game. They almost scored right off the bat. And they came into the second with a 2-goal lead, even though I didn't think that quite reflected how the first period went. They came into it with a 2-goal lead. Connor Brown breakaway goal, which I didn't think I was ever going to see in my life. It's kind of like the unicorn of hockey, but hey, it happened. And a pretty typical Zach Hyman goal, just standing in front of the net and tipping in a puck. But all that set up, those 2 goals that Edmonton scored, was for their franchise player, the best player in the world, one of the best players of all time, to have the single best period I've ever seen somebody play in the Stanley Cup Finals. Guys, it was unbelievable. It was one of those moments where you say to yourself live as it's happening, I'm going to remember this for a very long time. Because his first goal was such a crowd deflator. Not just because of the type of goal it was, although it was a big part of it. Bobrovsky, you got to be better there, bro. Like, stick down when a player's coming across the goal line. That is H1 stuff, bud. Like, you have to put your stick down there. No doubt about it. But the fact that he found that angle and put it in such a perfect spot as to where it went off his stick and in was still so impressive. And the silence that hit that Florida crowd when they went down 3-0 and McDavid did that to him, It really felt like the life was taken out of that building. And because Florida is so much better, though, they came back right away and scored another one. Kachuk with just a absolutely perfect shot. But McDavid, again, this period, he was just not to be denied. That second goal that he scored, like, that is stuff that you see 10-year-olds do against kids who aren't really in their league. You know what I mean? Like, there's always one kid who's younger who just advances quicker than everybody else, who it seems like they just control the game and can kind of do whatever they want. He pulled off one of those kind of moves in the Stanley Cup final. Like, to be able to go inside and out of a stick like that with that much speed, it's so much harder than it looks, guys. It's so much harder than it looks. Like, I've been playing hockey my whole life. That move, 1-2 through the stick when you're skating at 28 miles per hour, it's not easy. And he made it look like it was effortless. And talk about a crowd deflator. Like, the Florida Panthers crowd, all of them just had their eyes open wide. Like, what did we just see? This guy is transcendent. And the key was to the game mainly, and what made McDavid's performance so amazing to me was Florida in general. The reason why they were up 3-0 and the reason why they played better than the Oilers in this game and have really played better than them throughout this whole series is they are so much better along the boards and in the corners. They're just a stronger, meaner team than the Oilers are. When they get into those grit, grindy positions, when it's deep in the offensive zone, you're trying to dig out pucks, that's where Florida does its damage. The Oilers are great when it's a free-flowing kind of game, when pucks are coming up the middle of the ice, when you get a bunch of 3-on-2s, when you're going end to end, when it feels like the ice is really opened up. And it felt like, especially in that second period, and for a lot of the first, because McDavid, I don't want to underestimate his first or third periods. I thought he just played one of the best games I've ever seen, but I thought the second period in particular stood out. He was able to make it a free flowing game by himself. He was taking pucks off walls and skating by a guy and creating those chances where off the rush, the Oilers can create a lot of damage. It felt like he was doing it, individually, which is something I didn't get to watch Gretzky play live. But this wasn't something Crosby could do. He just didn't have the game-changing speed that McDavid did. The way that he was able to change the feel of the game just off his talent was something you don't see in hockey, really. It's something you see in basketball all the time, or something you see in football with quarterbacks. A hockey player just flipping the style of the game was something I'd never thought I'd really see until this game. Like, the things that I saw out of Connor McDavid in game 5 are things that I'm going to remember for a long time. Now, the conversation has turned into, will McDavid get the Conn Smythe even if the Oilers lose? And he has a hell of a case for it. He has the most era-adjusted points in a single playoff run ever. He has the most assists in a playoff run ever, period. And just overall, this is one of the greatest playoff runs we've ever seen. But I don't think he is going to get it. And there's two main reasons for that. First of all, a skater has never won Conn Smythe on a losing team. It's been all goalies. For someone to make that not happen anymore, it's going to have to be historic. And not that what McDavid's done hasn't been historic, but he's had other players on his team do historic things as well. Bouchard this season has the most assists ever for a defenseman in a single playoff run. Draisaitl, you could argue, was the Oilers' MVP throughout the first 2 to 3 rounds. So what McDavid's doing is unbelievable, but when your teammates are also putting up not similarly historic numbers, but comparably historic numbers, it's going to be hard for him to break that mold when he's not clearly and superiorly, that's not a word, and when he's clearly the best player on his team. Like, he is, but not by the margin that he would need. And especially when Bobrovsky has been so good all playoffs. And I understand he hasn't had his best finals, but it's not finals MVP. It's playoff MVP. McDavid's unbelievable. Now, how is this series going to play out the rest of the way? Well, In my opinion, the hardest part for the Oilers was that game 5, going into Florida. Florida desperate to close out the series, not go back for that long flight to Edmonton, but they did it. And game 6 is happening on Friday. Now, do I think the Oilers have a great chance of getting it done in Edmonton? I do. Do I think they have a great chance in game 7? I don't. Just because it's so hard to win 3 straight hockey games against a good team. And with game 7 being in Florida, the Oilers probably being the most tired they've ever been in their individual careers, 110 plus games into the year in Florida, tough environment. I think that game 7 is going to be really tough, but I do think the Oilers take game 6. I could look like a total maroon for saying that. Wouldn't surprise me at all if Florida took game 6, to be honest. Like I said, I thought they played better than the Oilers in game 5. It's just a transcendent performance by a transcendent player, turned up the heat and brought the series to a 6 game, which as hockey fans, we are all the more better for. I think we're in for a heck of a finish, and I cannot wait to see it. What do you guys think of the series so far? What do you guys think is going to happen moving forward? I want to know in the comments below. I am small enough as to where I can read all comments, and I love doing so, so please leave something down there. Please subscribe if you haven't already. The Spit Sports Show just hit over 300 subscribers. Big things happening over here. Thank you guys so much for that milestone. It means a lot to me. Please leave a like on the video if you enjoyed what you heard. And as always, I will see you in the next video. Peace out.